Alright, welcome back to Phantom X Gaming. We are back in Kerbal Space Program. We are gonna turn my AC off now, because that's loud. We are looking at the new orbital body of the Mun. Right now, this is exactly what it looks like for the most part, but we don't really know what the surface looks like. So we are going to try to explore it. Yes, the Mun Junior has rings. I don't remember off the top of my head what those rings look like up close, but we're gonna find out. I hope. It is just called the Mun's Moon, but Cam has dubbed it the Mun Junior, which I think that's a good one to go with. So that's what we're gonna go with. It is the Mun Junior. So we're going to go out of the tracking station. As you can see right here, the rescue has been complete. I spent way too long after the stream last night going back and forth, doing a couple Kerbals at a time as things started getting a little sketchy and glitchy. So we're going to fast forward to daytime here. That's better. So I was up until I think about 5 o'clock in the morning, rescuing the rest of the stranded Kerbals. It was a bit of a pain because every time I went back to the Mun, I tried to land in the crater close to them so I could just get them all in and get going. And most of the time, the Kraken had other things to say about it. So I ended up having to walk them all the way across to about where it was originally, that super long walk across that took about half an hour. So that's pretty much what I did for many hours after the stream last night. Uh, yeah, so it was many hours of testing that rocket to make sure it would actually work. But now we have to do something a little bit different because now we have two separate gravity fields that are very close together. And we are going to go explore the surface of the Mun Junior. So we're going to start. I think we're only going to use one Kerbal in this, so we don't need anything super big. I say this now, however, that will probably change because that's just what happens. So I'm going to change it to that one because I like orange. Orange is actually my favorite color. And I think we're also going to do this the smart way, and we're going to put one of these on here. Change this to SAS only. We're going to change this to SAS only as well. And before I forget, I did do a lot of testing in the process of everything to figure out what exactly would work the best for a parachute to really slow us down as we come back into orbit, or into the atmosphere rather. And I think if I can find it, am I in the right place? I should be in the right place. Somewhere around here. That's not the, I think that's, nope, that's definitely not the one. Purple is your favorite color? Yeah, it's a good color. And Lev, your favorite color is orange as well? Yeah, it's a good color. And welcome, Lev. So now, somewhere in here, I have a parachute that I tested the heck out of. I think this is the one. So you know what? Let's go ahead and scale this up. And this down. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Martin, your favorite color is blue? Yeah, blue's a good color too. And purple? Yeah. Yeah, they're both good colors. I personally prefer orange. But now I tested this parachute, and in theory it should have a significant amount of pressure tolerance, well above what it was saying, because I entered the atmosphere going very fast and then deployed it at about 600 meters per second. And it deployed just fine. Where was it? There it is. So I think it should work properly for what we're going to do with it. And I'm also going to add, if I can also find them, a couple more parachutes just to be sure, because we all know exactly what usually happens. So we're going to go with 2 of these right there. We're going to scale these down. That looks better. Alright, so that should hold us pretty well. Actually, you know what? Just to be safe, we're going to do a couple more. Scale those down and move them to here. That looks roughly even. And so, yeah, better safe than sorry. Oh, yeah. What else do I need? I need power. I definitely need power. I have 0 responsibility with that power, but, you know, we can pretend, right? So we're going to add some solar to here. These should be okay in high pressure and high heat. And then batteries. Where is... This is not one of them. Hold on. Is this actually going to work? How much power is that? Yeah, 10,000. Yeah, that should be fine. We'll use that one. But I definitely would like to add a little bit more solar power to this. So we're going to go with... Where is it? Here we go. The solar array here. And we're going to put 3 of them on. And these also have withstood very high temperature and high pressure, so I'm pretty confident in those for re-entry. I'm also going to set this up so we can kind of slow down as we come into the atmosphere and not have anything burn off. So now the next thing we're going to want is a decoupler. Now, I've had really good luck with decouplers lately. So we're going to go with this one. It's nice and small, it's simple. We're going to scale it up and stick it to the bottom, and then go back in here and select, scale. There we go, that looks better. Planets and moons. This is semi kind of sort of realistic-ish, but not actually. I did do some testing with a real solar system, the system of the solar system, and it just did not really feel that correct to me. It was definitely more to scale of the real solar system, but it also took a lot more fuel and a lot more time to get everywhere. So, in other words, to get into Kerbal orbit, it takes, 4 minutes or so, give or take. In the real solar system mod, it took like 15 minutes, and then we'd never really get anywhere. So I went with just the baseline with adding some extra planets, and now because of the past 5 lives that we have done, there is now a moon orbiting the Mun that we have to go explore. So now I have the decoupler on there, so that way we can just kind of land nice and gentle on the ground later on. And I think we are ready for fuel. So I've made some discoveries in the stuff that I've already had all of this time and not paid attention to. And one of those things that I discovered is the radial fuel tanks, the wedge-tail drop tank. So this attaches to the side of your rocket, provides extra fuel, and has its own decoupling system, so you can just launch it out to the sides and they go away when they're empty. And they feed directly into your main fuel system, so they drain first. and it makes it a lot easier and a lot safer than taking things like the Lunder L fuel tank and kind of pushing them into the body of the rocket. So I'm going to use these today because they seem to work very well in all of my goings on last night and, well, this morning. I did a bunch of little tests with it. We're going to throw some monopropellant in here as well, just to be safe, because we can always get rid of that later. It's not really that important to save it. This is a sandbox playthrough, so I don't have to worry about money or, you know, anything like that. So now, I also found somewhere in here, you know, I have a lot of mods that I added just because they looked cool at the time, and then I just forgot about them after installing them. So I took some time to really look through and find some cool systems to use. And one of them is actually the ACL 1300B fuel tank. So this actually does really well. It's got a lot of fuel for what it is and for the size. And it's stable. It doesn't move around, it doesn't break away, nothing like that. So it's definitely much more sturdy and reliable. So we're gonna go with that as just a baseline and a start. And then what I'm also going to add to the bottom of this, where is it? Somewhere in here, possibly, potentially. Here they are. So we're gonna go with this one. Whoops. Let's take that off. And that'll give us the ability to have 3 rockets, and I believe if I did my math correctly, I should be able to get a little bit more thrust to weight ratio out of 3 smaller than I do out of the big one. But we're gonna double check that. You need to mod your game more. Modding is fun, but it's also very finicky at times. It can be very difficult to work with. Math of the mathematics, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I could put one of these on, and then it scales down, and then the thrust to weight ratio, the bottom right here, is 0.12. So, not a whole lot. Now, if I put 3 of these, whoops, do that, there we go. That is 0.34, so if I take this off completely, what do we get? Oh, we got more. We're going to get rid of that, and that's what we're going to go with. Math wasn't mathing. However, there was another one in here that I saw, and I had used a little bit that worked really well. And I can't remember what it was called. Anyways, what's this? That's a lot more oh, that's the elephant. And there's something going on with the paint job on that one. And we're going to ignore that because that's probably a broken mod. And broken mods and me don't get along very well. Put the more powerful engine in the triple tank. Yeah, that's so I use the exact same engine and put it in all 3. And then it was only half of what one single one on the whole thing does, so that's what we're going to do for that one. For now, I don't have many rocket options to play with for this. I mean, I could do, you know, something like add a bunch of these to the side, but that's not really going to be beneficial in the long run. Because once we get out of the atmosphere, this engine will do just fine. Because in the vacuum it's 2000. In atmosphere it's 1200. Yeah, there's a lot of choices, a lot of things to look at. I tend to just kind of go with whatever happens to look like it might work pretty well-ish at the time, and then hope for the best. So now that that's on there, we have to get to space, and in order to do that, we also need more fuel. And now that I'm thinking about this, we should probably go back to the fuel tanks and jump down to... Where are they? They're in here somewhere. There they are. The wedge-tail drop tanks. So we're going to go with a bunch of these down here. And then we're going to scale them up because they in themselves don't have a whole lot to work with each. So now you can see 1,621 seconds of burn time. And if I were to take them off, it goes down to 400 seconds of burn time. I'm gonna bring these up here. I'm actually going to scale these down a little bit because I lost a lot of the thrust to weight ratio. And if you're below 0.45 or so, alright, have fun, Martin. If you're below 0.45 or so, even in space, you're not getting efficient burns. So orbital maneuvers take a lot longer, and then you can miss your window. So we're going to go with 3 of these. Each one of these has 720 liquid and 880 oxidizer, which should be plenty for the most part. We're going to go with this paint job. It's a little bit less distracting. Now, these will launch off on their own. As you can see, they have decouplers right here. I'm going to drag these down to here because we want all of this in the proper line of things. Being yeah, I do say that a lot because I'm trying to think and talk at the same time, and I can barely walk and think at the same time on most days. It's also been a very long day. I've been out since about 5:30 this morning. I only actually laid down for like a half an hour before getting up for my day. So what do we want? We want liquid for the boosters to get out into the atmosphere, or out of the atmosphere, because we want control of the thrust so we don't end up out into solar orbit. So now we want the decouplers. We want to slide down to... Where are they? I just saw them. Where did they go? Somewhere in this mess of decouplers that I probably will never get through and use all of. Or was it over here? Or was it over here? Was it over here? No. Couldn't have been over there. Over here. Somewhere in here. It's got to be under the coupling. So there are radial decouplers that... Or not radial. Yeah, radial. They're like these, but they're shorter. Somewhere in this mess. There they are. Hiding over here. So we're going to put 3 of these right about here. And then we're going to go with... Yeah, losing stuff in the menu is an everyday occurrence for me. So we want something long. So I'm thinking in here somewhere is this one. Liquid fuel and oxidizer. I can go with different types of fuel as well. I want this one because it just works. It works well, and I like it. And I'm going to try to sneak in here and scale just a little bit. And in theory, that should give us, yeah, that's plenty to get into orbit. And then what are these? These go here. And then we need engines for these, which we're going to go with the Rhino, because it just happens to be right there and it's what I grabbed. And I believe that should give us enough thrust to weight ratio to get out of 0.62. So we need more thrust. So there's got to be another engine around here somewhere I can accidentally put on here somewhere as well. Oh, I have an idea. I have a terrible idea. You just made your first interplanetary trip, went to Duna. Yeah, so Duna's a tough one. It's a very, very uneven surface. What should the rocket be named? Well, that's up to you guys. Why don't you guys have a discussion and see if you can come up with a name for it? Because this is going to be an interesting one. This is completely untested. I'm just going by the seat of my pants at this point. This has a lot more thrust and it's also very large. What does this do for us? This. Let's get rid of that. Well, no, I need that. I need to put that there. 1.85. So those are the engines we're gonna use. Call it the Flamingo. Keep discussing it and see if we can come up with a good name for it before I am done building it. Which in theory, it should be ready for its test launch relatively soonish. But before I do anything, I'm going to do the smart thing and also put advanced SAS on these, because these tend to play around a little bit in a way that doesn't exactly make the entire rocket stay in one piece. When the engine isn't on the rocket. Yeah, it's large when it isn't, because it's you know, it comes in a stock size. And then you put it on. I have everything set to, for the most part, auto adjust to the size of what I'm trying to put it on, so it doesn't end up being this massive thing on this tiny little thing. So now that the advanced SAS is on there, we're going to go with aerodynamics. We have to make these pointy. Come on, where is it? I just said this would auto adjust, but this one did not. I've never used these before. So we're going to bring these down, then bring them up to about there. So they're nice and pointy. This is a very large small rocket. Said I was gonna make a small one, but ended up being pretty big for what it is. Okay, so now as always, we have to do one more thing for the sake of safety, and that is put electric engines on. Is that the big one? Yeah, that's the big one. Because, as we know, I tend to get myself stranded in places I probably shouldn't be stranded. So we're going to put those there. We're going to switch over to here. We're going to put them pretty much all the way in. And then we're going to bring them up to here. There we go. Yeah, largely small. Yeah, gotta get it perfect and get it working, hopefully. So those are inset into the rocket, just to kind of hide the fact that I'm kind of, sort of, but not really actually cheating. And then these go with, that's gonna go above that, so we need to put that there and drag these up here, because those are just there in case of emergency. Just in case I do something I probably shouldn't do. Alright, so I do believe this rocket is ready, but we're going to add a couple things to some hotkeys here. We're going to add the solar, enable same vessel, and toggle. We're also going to add those, enable same, and toggle. So that way all the solar panels extend and retract on their own. And then I think I have everything relatively okay-ish. That's that one. So let's do a preliminary test. I mean, I should move these down so they're sitting on the ground, but let's see what happens. Let's make sure we actually have... Yep, we have Jebediah. Oh, we have Jebediah in there. He was the reason for the initial crash that resulted in many more crashes. So we'll give him another chance to see what happens with this. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Alright. Put that SAS on and the RCS. I never put any RCS engines on. I don't know how much coffee he's had. I know I've had a very large amount. In fact, while waiting for the live to go live with the 10-minute countdown, I downed 3/4 of a monster because I am struggling to stay awake right now. Did you get new mods? No, I did not. I stuck with the same mods, and I mean, it works for the most part, so I'm not going to mess with it. We're just going to test the solar real quick to make sure this all works correctly. Yeah, that looks like it is doing okay. So we're going to go ahead and fold those back up. As long as we have solar, we have power. If we have power, we have engines. If we have engines, we don't get stranded. At least not that way. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, we lost our audio. That bug is still there. I have no idea what is causing it or why, but it is what it is. It happens pretty consistently across the board to a lot of people, including other YouTubers that also play Kerbal Space Program. So we are at 2600, 27, 28, 29, 30. I'm not going to count that fast. We're going up. Some things may be useless. You just need it, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things that seem to be useless but are not useless, and in this case, I would have liked to hear the initial launch so I could hear if anything broke, but that is okay. So we're using up our fuel pretty well. We're going to 28,000 meters so far. These have not been used yet, which is good. And then just out of curiosity, we're going to check on this engine to make sure the thrust to weight ratio is in fact going up enough by the time these run out. And then we can start our staging process. Oh wait, this is definitely in the wrong place. What are these? Those are for that. So this needs to be between that. Good thing I caught that. Otherwise we would have staged the whole thing out and fallen back down. All right, we're doing well so far. We have a really good apoapsis height so far. And looks like we are out of fuel. We're going to go ahead and stage those out. Okay, nothing broke. Nothing looks like it broke anyways. Yeah, it is a good thing I saw that, for sure. But we are now in space. Look at those clouds. I still am amazed by the volumetric clouds. They look really nice. They work really well. I mean, it does definitely take a hit to your resources, for sure. I mean, I'm pushing, I'd say probably close to like 80% of my video RAM, probably 95% of my regular RAM. And my computer's pumping out heat. That's why I have to basically freeze the entire room out before I go live, so that way the computer doesn't overheat. Random Kerbals wondering why a rocket booster landing on their house. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure they're used to it by now. I should probably pay attention to exactly where I'm going here. And add a maneuver, round out, back, swing around. This is something I should have tested. Yeah, no, so I have the computer started off with 16 gigs of RAM, and then one of my sticks burned out, so I just put a 16 gig stick of RAM in that happened to have worked, and I have yet to fill the other slots. I just don't really, I mean, I don't really need it per se. It is nice to have 32 gigs of RAM. Did I remember RCS? I do have monopropellant, so it does work. So I am okay-ish, I think. Alright, we are at our node. We're gonna go ahead and start our burn that I should have started 5 minutes from now. That's okay. We're gonna make it work. Yeah, see, when I do computer stuff, I try to get the absolute best I possibly can at the time, and then I make it work for as long as I possibly can get away with it, and then repeat the process, 3 to 5 years later. I try not to continuously upgrade and change things and always get newer and newer stuff, because I really don't want to pay the price of newer stuff. I much prefer just getting, a couple generations behind, because it'll still do the same thing. The only thing you're really getting out of the brand spanking new, fresh off the print stuff is bragging rights. Bragging about spending unrealistic amounts of money on something that's going to be invalid in 3 or 4 years. So this is what I was talking about earlier with the thrust to weight ratio being low and the long burn times, because we are actually dropping back to Kerbin at really high speed. Not sure how I feel about that. And new isn't always better. That is correct. I mean, my old computer was running a GTX 1650 Super. I had 24 gigs of RAM in that, and a Ryzen 5, and that lasted me quite a long time. Yeah, we're just fine. Nothing's wrong. Everything's going as planned. We're definitely gonna hit orbit eventually, or the ground. The RX 580, yeah, that's good too. I mean, if it does what you want it to do and it makes things work the way you want it to work, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with having older equipment. So we're going to go ahead and switch around to retrograde. We're going to continue to burn. We're not speeding, or slowing down rather. We're actually continuing to. So I'm going to drop this, and we're going to go ahead and bail on those. Get rid of some of our weight, see if that helps. Yeah, it helps a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I'm going down way too quick. So now, ooh, those are some big flames coming off of the solar panels. Those are weird flames. I mean, we're coming in hot, that's for sure. 21,000. Let's go ahead and stage those and get rid of that so we can slow down quicker. And I forgot to put this parachute on its own stage because I don't want to break the other ones apart, because this one will only drop me down to like 20 or 25 meters per second. Welcome back, Martin. Yeah, they're making a lot of wishes right now. Oh no, this is going over the ocean too, so we don't have to worry about it dropping on anyone. I do my best to do most of my re-entries with my contact being the ocean because it's just a little bit safer. And I don't have to worry as much about, the ground being level or anything like that. We're at 2,500. Go ahead and pull that chute. Apparently I put 3 chutes in one. Okay, I mean that works. We're definitely slowing down quite a bit. We'll pop those just because we can. And we are going to engulf the other one. Okay, these are interesting. These are definitely not the ones that look the exact same in the other save that I tested this with. So we're going to speed up time. Oh. Well, that happened. I think I sped up time a little bit too quick. I hit the wrong one. We're going to go ahead and revert to assembly and pretend that never happened. So we need a lot more thrust out of these to get much higher up there. And we also need more thrust out of the other one. So what I'm going to do, I think, is take this one out. And these seem to work really well. These are the MRS, liquid fuel engine clusters. So we'll sort by size. See if we can find those somewhere. There they are. Yeah, these are even more. So we're going to stick one of those on there and see what we get. We get 1.64 out of those. And we have to put these in their own stage again. That messed up somehow. We have 0.93, so that's much better. And I bet you, if I come down here, yeah, it was just the wind. It Kraken dragged us down into the depth of the ocean. Yeah, oh yeah, it was much faster than I expected. So I bet if we were to very slightly accidentally bring these size of this up a little bit, we can get that 1.0. And then just for the sake of having a little extra, we'll go to 1.02. And it's really not that big of a difference. It's not hugely noticeable, but it works. So we can get our orbital burn going and not have to really worry about falling back to Kerbal this time. So I think this should, in theory, possibly, kind of sort of work. Let's test it out. And I think I have everything staged properly. I know I do a lot of thinking, and that's usually how I get in trouble. We're going to wait for this extra long load time to go to the launch pad. Theorizing the theories? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Alright, we're going to bring this up just so we can go straight for the full launch. And 3, 2, 1, go. And it looks like we just don't have audio for these engines. That's a little weird. I kind of remember the last time I used these, which was like a week ago, there was audio for them. But we are going up, which is the whole point of a rocket. So we're doing the things in the right order of things that need to be done. We got the wind of the first section of the atmosphere. We got the volumetric clouds going by here. Those look very nice. Oh, there's a storm brewing over here. Yeah, and there's also rain and wind and all sorts of fun things that can happen. And it does have an effect on your spacecraft. They shouldn't go down during launch. That is correct. That is definitely not the correct direction for them to go. Uh, we've definitely have had a few of those happen over the past like 3 weeks or so, give or take, roughly. Let's see, 5 live. This is live number 6 on KSP. Yeah, so about 3 weeks. And we're in complete silence as we get close to entering space. We're almost there. And we are in space. And we just ran out of fuel, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of those. And we hit our rocket again. And this is in the wrong staging location. Not entirely sure why this keeps switching. So we're going to keep going up. That is the way to go. Yeah, Jebediah always seems to thwart the missions somehow. I blame Jebediah. He is the easiest to blame. He doesn't really talk back, so he just kind of accepts it. All right, we're going to bring this up to 300,000 just as a safety layer. We're going to keep track of this because we are burning this fuel. We are not burning the main tank fuel. We are only burning the wedge-tailed drop tanks. And as always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. It is free to do. It helps me out. You can also check out my Discord server. You're all welcome to join it at any given point in time. All you got to do is get yourself Discord, which is also free. And you can check me out on Patreon as well. Those links are at the top of my channel. I said yesterday I was going to put it in the description of yesterday's live. I did not get around to doing that, and I was in way too much of a hurry to get everything situated for this one to also put them in there. And as we're speaking right now, I just realized we are about to hit 500,000 meters. So we're going to stop our burn just above it and jump over to the map. We're going to go ahead and add a maneuver here. Pop that over there, jump over there, jump out to here. Watch this spin around wildly. And we are in position for our burn, which is 1 minute 35 seconds away. We're just going to sit right here so I can see that down here. Because if I have it down here, I can't really see that very well. So we're just going to bring it right over here, because once I start warping to here, oh, way too fast. We're going to do this. Man, I guess I could hit that button and, not have to worry about it. That's about where I am today, is I can hit a button to do the thing that I'm trying to do by hand and not mess it up. But yeah, that's where we are. We're going to warp a little ahead here because it stops at a minute. And we are beyond our burn start, so we're going to start our burn now. And it is a long burn. We're using a lot of Delta V to do this. Granted, we have a good chunk of it. Those are going to run out hopefully before we hit orbital levels, so they can deorbit themselves. They are burning very little fuel. This engine is very efficient, but it's really not that powerful for what it is. And it says it's powerful, but it really doesn't seem to be that powerful. We're going to continue to burn here. We are getting lower on the fuel on these. I want to be able to get rid of these before we hit orbit. Would I rather give up anything other than meat or give up all meat? That's a tough question. I've had food from all around the world, some vegetarian, some not vegetarian. I like a lot of different foods and a combination of both. We're gonna get rid of those now. Those are wildly spinning out of control. I really hope I didn't just launch those into orbit as well. And our burn time seems to be going down. We are now in orbit. So we have made it to orbit. I'm pretty sure I sent a couple of those into orbit as well. And our burn is done. Get rid of that now. Jump over to the map to see where we are. We're not looking too bad for what it is. A little bit angled, but we're going to go ahead and time warp an entire day to see and make sure. Yeah, so all three of those did in fact deorbit. So we got lucky on that. Interstellar drop tanks. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, because I have to clean up the messes that I make, and I try not to do those during lives or in videos, because it takes a really long time. Now, even going to the tracking station and manually terminating each individual piece of debris, it really does take a long time. So now we're going to add a maneuver to here. And we're going to bring it over to here. And then, whoops, wrong direction. Out. There we go. Can I get that back over here? Right about. Come on. Right. Where is it? Come on. I know there it is. I knew it was there. Whoop. Lost it again. Yep. Too far. Nope. Nope. Yep. Perfect. Right there. That's what we want. We want a completely unmistakable encounter with the Mun. And we're going to get into orbit around the Mun, and then we are going to drop our orbit around the Mun Jr., as it has been named. Have you guys figured out a name for this rocket? Yeah, orbit is very stubborn. Gravity is stubborn. Gravity makes its own rules. Flaming flamingo, that's an interesting one. We'll see what happens as we enter the Mun's orbit, and then we can decide if that name is a good name or not. We are 10 seconds away from our burn time, and it's only 29 seconds, so we're gonna go ahead and start burning now. Bring that way out. Like I said, these take a while with these engines. Thrust to weight ratio is 2.16 and climbing, but it really doesn't feel like it is very powerful. Either that or this tiny rocket is actually much bigger than I thought it was. We're almost there, and there it is. We got an encounter that I should be able to work with. So we'll go right here, add maneuver, and we're going to circularize. That's not going to bring us over there. We get rid of that. We're going to go ahead and time warp to here. And see where we are with this. Maybe if I go... here. Add maneuver. Circular eyes. Oh, that is... that is all sorts of weird with that, the gravity of the Mun Jr. pulling at it. That's doing some real weird things. That's okay. Looks like we are 5 hours away from the node, so we're going to go ahead and burn up to it and hope it doesn't change. Go invisible but not on command, or fly but not on command. Yeah, it looks like child scribbling on paper. And we are here-ish. And in theory, this should work, I think. I don't know. I don't know if I would rather... I don't know if I would want to do either one, really. I mean, go invisible, but at random points. Or fly, but at random points. I mean, I wouldn't mind being able to fly. I would just rather be able to control whether I'm flying or not. Alright, we are close enough to our burn time. It's only a 7-second burn, so we're going to go for it and see what happens. And we're going to bring that down, and we are in orbit of the Mun. Take a look around, see what we can see. There's Kerbal. And around here somewhere is the Mun. So now, we are way out on the outside. I want to get on the inside and see what we can work with. I am going to set this as target. And if I am lucky, I wonder if I can bring this not like that. Out. Around. Oops, too far. Way too far. Let's bring that back in. Nah, I can't do that. So we're gonna go ahead and spin around retro. Yeah, so it is a very strange orbit. It is going this way instead of this way, like everything else. It is the biggest reason one of the landing that we did yesterday was so difficult. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go invisible during family photos or while flying while driving. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that. Either one of those. That'd be a little bit difficult. So we're going to go ahead and burn down to just about here. I think is roughly... yeah. We're going to swing around to here. And bring this... no, wrong directions. Put that back. Grab the right one. Whoops, too far. Oh, still too far. Way too far. Way back. Well, we're going to start this one over. We're going to add one here. Bring this down to about here. That looks roughly about the same size. Yeah, it is almost orbiting polar. It's very strange. I blame Jebediah for it being there in the first place. We're going to bring this to about here. Roughly. Kind of want to adjust that, but I'll adjust that afterwards with a different maneuver. Swing around, we're gonna do that as well. And then once that balances out, I'm gonna find where the Mun is, and there is the Mun Jr. right there. That's our goal. That's what we're trying to get to. What did you say about making moons and moons? What did you say? I don't remember that. I don't think Jebediah remembers either, but I don't think he remembers a whole lot in the first place. We're 25 seconds from burn. We're going to do that, and then 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 we're going to go ahead and burn for 13 seconds. And there's our burn for there. Rookie, welcome. So our mission is actually to do, at the very least, a very close flyby and orbit of the Mun Jr., as it's been named. It's the moon of the Mun that showed up after several crashes that I was definitely not responsible for on the Mun of multiple missions of Kerbal's rescuing other rescue missions that were also sent to rescue missions that were originally, down the line sent to rescue Jebediah and his crew, who went on a proof of concept mission and somehow ended up crashing on the Mun. That is a mouthful. So I should probably pay attention to my monopropellant and electric charge, which doesn't seem to be getting used a whole lot. We have about 76 seconds of Delta V left. And we should probably check to see where we are on this. I want to adjust this ever so slightly. So we're going to add a maneuver node here to both round out as well as bring it up to about there. I could probably do this like that, and then make my adjustments to match. That looks pretty good. So if I do this correctly, I should be able to exactly match the orbit and be 100% circularized. So all I have to do is drop my periapsis so it intersects with the Mun Jr. So encounters with this are actually really difficult to get. I only have 1 second of burn to do. I might spread that out over a couple seconds. Yeah, so encounters with this are really hard to get because of the way the gravity works. But we're definitely going to try. I have done a flyby of it. I tried to land on it, but I figured that probably wasn't going to happen, seeing as I was somehow traveling at 300 and some odd meters per second, but also just barely floating by it. And I didn't want to take the chance of crashing in a save that actually has a monetary cost. So we are 10 seconds away from our burn. 3, 2, 1, and burn. Alright, that is close enough. Oh wow, that is really close. I accept. Alright, so at some point, somewhere in this mess, I need to figure out exactly which direction this is going. You're gonna install this mod. I don't remember what mod it is. However, if you join Discord, I will very likely be in Discord voice afterwards for a few minutes while I do all of the bits and bobs associated with ending a stream. And I can help you go through my list of mods, and we can try to figure out which one it is. So now I'm going to time warp just a little bit to get an idea of who's going where at what speed. Actually, if I continue along this line, I'm going slower than the Mun Junior. So I should get... Actually, I want to go slower, so I want to be on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. So if the Mun is going slower... hold on. Let's try to actually think this one through. So if I'm on the outside, I'm going slower, meaning the Mun is going to speed up and eventually suck me into its gravity well. So I want to be on the outside, but I want to be closer because I'm still not close enough. So I want to spin around retrograde. And I want to set the moon, or the Mun rather, as target. There we go. I didn't think that one through. I was hoping that if I targeted the Mun, it would center my camera on this a little better, but it is not going to work that way. So what I'm going to do is drop my periapsis down, so that way it is slightly closer to there. There we go. Now we have an encounter. And I'm not going to time warp this too much. I'm going to go to... That's an hour and 17 minutes. I'm going to time warp this too much and see if we can get ourselves an encounter. It looks like we will. It's just a matter of where, when, and how. Because this doesn't tell me a whole lot other than I'm going to get to here, I'm going to time warp through the Mun, and then crash into the Mun Junior. So I don't want to speed up too much. It looks like we lost our contact by speeding up. That's okay. We're going to speed up a little bit more. It should possibly... Yeah, it's definitely catching up. So we will have an encounter. Right about on the next one around, it looks like. And then... Stop. And then... Add a maneuver to here. To circularize. And it's not going to let me do that. This is really difficult to get these encounters on. So I'm going to warp here real quick. Start the loop of rescuing again, but on the Mun Junior. That would be an absolute nightmare. That would probably be like a 40 or 50 stream series type of deal. Because this, I mean, you can see how difficult this is to actually get lined up proper. So it looks like we are semi-ish, kind of, sort of getting pulled in. I wonder if I can add a maneuver here and circularize around there. It's still not catching it. Yeah, it makes it really difficult to get caught, but at the same time, with this spinning around the Mun at this angle, even getting encounters with the Mun, if I do it in the wrong way, it'll basically grab me. And I have during the rescuing of the last Kerbals, I had one of my missions I had to actually revert to launch because I just got dragged straight into it while I was time warping to a maneuver, and I just crashed into the Mun Junior. Yeah, so I'm gonna see if it'll let me here. No, I still won't. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed up time ever so slightly until I get grabbed. Ah, yeah, I got grabbed, all right. And now we are very close. Very, very close. We're gonna zoom in here. We're gonna grab. We're gonna click randomly until it comes up with something for me to work with. Nothing. Swing around this way. Maybe. Nothing. Come on, I see it for me. There we go. Add maneuver. Circularize. That is 1 minute away, and this is only a 2-second burn, so we're going to switch over to here real quick. We're going to check it out real quick. Oh, that is... that is strange. That is really strange. What is going on there? There's the Mun, I think. Yeah, so there's the Mun. There's the moon that we are about to hit orbit with, and there's the rings around it that are somehow behind the Mun. That is very strange. I think something is happening with the graphics. Yeah, the title to all of these are actually pretty difficult to come up with because I don't want to give away too much, but at the same time I want to give enough that the algorithm will actually... Oh, I am past my burn time. Oh, and I lost it. Oh, I lost it. Spin around retro. Get rid of that. Let's go ahead and very carefully burn back till I get it. All right, there we go. We have orbit around the Mun Jr. That was incredibly terrifying. All right, so now make sure that's off. There it is. We're going to go out here and do a couple quick circles around it just to be 100% sure that I don't get flung out or anything. It is really a weird orbit. I'm orbiting an orbit that orbits another orbit around the sun in orbit. So at any time, this could decide to just fling me off into, well, I'd say the stratosphere, but that's down here somewhere. Alright, so we've made it just about a full rotation. We're heading over to the periapsis. And that is what it looks like. We are doing almost a polar orbit of a small body orbiting almost a polar orbit of the Mun, which is orbiting the equator of Kerbal. So we'll jump back over to the map real quick, zoom way in here. And it's saying we're going, you know, really fast, but we're really not going that fast. We're going to go ahead and warp here. We're also going to add a maneuver to here. And we're going to... which one is it? Circularize. We can work with that. This is also very difficult to get a good angle on to see. So we're gonna very carefully get rid of this. Add another one. Circularize and bring this down. Whoop, wrong direction. Whoop, also wrong direction. I have no idea how far away I can get away with being, but we're gonna try this because I want to get as close as I possibly can. Yeah, maneuver nodes are really frustrating to use sometimes, but a lot of times, in most cases, that's pretty much the only way to really do it. I am by zero means a professional astronaut or rocket scientist or anything like that. However, I know how to draw a line from point A to point B and hope for the best. Alright, so we're going to very carefully go to our maneuver node, which is about 15 seconds away. The burn time is 0.7 seconds. So you can see how this can go terribly wrong. And it also has to be perfectly exact. And we're past our burn time, so we're going to burn this down. And there it is. Perfect. Get rid of that. Our periapsis is at 4,612 meters. We're going to time warp to here. And that was the wrong place to time warp to, but it doesn't seem to be dropping, so we can probably get away with orbiting, or circularizing our orbit there. We drop down here, we are really close. Alright. So we're going to chance it. We're going to add a maneuver to circularize at about 4,600 meters above the Mun Junior. We're going to time warp to there. Like I said, it's really difficult to actually get a proper view of this, but that is okay. And through the rings and around to here. All right. We're gonna jump over to here. And we are gonna get as close as we possibly can and hope for the best on this one. And this is also a 0.7 second burn that I'm gonna stretch out to like 3 seconds. Yeah, if I was this low on the Mun, I would absolutely crash. But this is the Mun's Mun, so the gravity is much lower, so I feel like we could probably even get a little bit closer. I mean, we are definitely going very fast for what this is, but I don't want to slow down too much, because I'm not entirely sure what would happen if I did crash, because this is incredibly hard. Oh, I'm past my burn time. There we go. That's about where that can be. We are orbiting nice and close. I wonder. I was ahead of my burn? Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that. This is terrifying. This is definitely terrifying. We should probably open up our solar just so we have some power coming in, just in case we have to activate those electric engines. This is cinematic, yeah. Oh yeah, this is actually kind of fun, but this is also terrifying. Because this is saying that I am retrograde, and if retrograde here puts me going straight into the Mun Junior, I'm not entirely sure I want to be retrograde right now. However, I do feel like we can get a little bit closer. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Can we get it closer to this? Because I think this is concerning. What's more concerning? The fact that I am less than 5,000 meters away from an orbital body that has its own gravity well and is that close to the Mun? Or the fact that I just had another terrible idea that's probably going to land me in a heap of hot water? Welcome back, Martin. I am currently in the process of being convinced that my idea is terrible and I probably shouldn't do it, and that being getting closer to the Mun Junior. I feel like we can get closer. I think we can get much closer safely. Well, semi-safely. How you doing, love? Yeah, this is a new idea. Is going closer to the Mun Junior. We are already under 5,000 meters. If I jump back out to the map, our periapsis is 4,500 meters. So I'm thinking we can get closer. So I am just about retrograde that actually works. I'm going to hit all of the wrong buttons. And I'm going to bring our periapsis down even further. Ever so slightly. That's the wrong direction. Why? Do I have to be prograde? Yeah, I have to be prograde here. So this is, everything is backwards while orbiting this moon. Yeah, so I think we are good to go lower. Apparently, retrograde doesn't work when you're orbiting something that's orbiting something else that's also orbiting something else, which is also being also orbiting something else. So I have to be prograde, and I have to be really careful because just barely hitting it is dropping me quite a bit. So let's bring it down to 1,000 meters. (1,001 meters). Alright, let's see what happens with this. Nothing could possibly go wrong with going this close to something that I've never actually officially landed on. However, to get to this low is 9 minutes away, so we're going to go ahead and time warp to there. Just watch that to make sure it doesn't drop my periapsis, which it doesn't seem to. I don't think, where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, wow, that is coming into focus. And apparently, I have to switch back and forth between retrograde and prograde on this orbit. This is very interesting. However, I think we can safely add a maneuver node to circularize at 1,000 meters above. It's 2 minutes out, so we're going to go ahead and burn over to there. We're going to jump back out to the map to really watch this carefully, because I just saw 900 and 800. We're doing weird things here. Oh, we're at 7, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh. This is... This is really scary. So we are 30 seconds out from our burn. We can see the details of the surface. It is incredibly bumpy and rocky. The lowest I have been was just barely bumping into one of these little rocks sticking out, realizing I was way too close, and then burning hard in whatever direction was up, and getting away from it before bad things happened. So we are 5 seconds away from our burn, which is only 0.3 seconds. 2, 1. Close enough. Now jump out to the map real quick just to make sure our periapsis is still above 1,000. Apoapsis is 1,020. I can work with that. This is really scary. However, I think we can get closer. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think we can get closer than this? Or do you think that would be a terrible idea that I definitely should not do, but will probably end up doing anyways? Yeah, I'm much lower than its rings, that is for sure. It does look like a less icy version of Minmus. And much bumpier. Minmus is relatively flat-ish, mostly. That's another trip we should probably make at some point. So our crew has to do a report. So our crew report, here we go. Crew report: while in space near Mun's moon, you recorded crew's assessment of the situation. But what is their what is their assessment? Oh, I mean, it's just Jebediah, and he always has fun with everything dangerous. Do an EVA report? Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and aim camera here. Zoom in. I may have blocked the door. EVA. Alright. Jebediah Kerbal is, or Kerman is now doing an EVA on EVA report. Here we go. EVA report from space just above Mun's moon, Highlands. You record your observations about the situation. Still doesn't tell me what his observations are. However, this is Jebediah. He is also pretty crazy. We're gonna go ahead and board because I saw something weird happen. And I believe we might have dropped a little bit too low. What's our periapsis at? 992 feet. So we are losing orbit. We're going that way, so we're gonna go ahead and add a maneuver to move out. And that puts us away from Kerbin, which is fine because it is at least going into the Mun's orbit. So we're going to switch over to there. I think we had our fun with that one. Near is an understatement, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a definite understatement for sure. But at least now we know what the surface looks like. Now that I do believe it has dropped us out of orbit almost. We are 700 feet above, 600 meters above. So we are incredibly close, going very quickly. And we're going to burn out of here before we run out of luck. Yeah, I might be able to land on it, but I don't know that that's a smart idea currently because I don't have landing legs. I don't have anything associated with being able to safely land on something that rocky. I mean, that is insanely rocky. We are 25 seconds out from burn. I don't remember ever seeing a planet with that much topography. However, this does look like something that we can definitely work with. Yeah, I am going to for sure make sure I have ground tethers on landing on this one. Oh, we are 10 seconds past our burn. And now we are way overburned. Looks like we are... Yeah, we're still in the Mun's orbit. That's okay. I will accept that for sure. So it looks like we are escaping in 9 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. So we are leaving Mun Jr. Not for good. We are definitely going to do a mission to... I think a polar landing looks like it would be smoother right over here. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll do a polar landing on the Mun Jr. Because it looks smoother at the polar cap. So now we have reached just about into... There we go. Now we are orbiting the Mun, and we are out of the orbit of the Mun Jr. Imagine getting a big enough rocket and towing it somewhere else. I mean, that would be one heck of a rocket to try to tow something static out of orbit. I'm not entirely sure that's even possible, but, I mean, we could always try. There's nothing that says we can't try. Alright, so now that we are in Mun's orbit, we're going to add a maneuver node there. We're going to pass it and go back to it. Let me try that again. Add maneuver. And we are going to burn out of here. And that should put us in one heck of an orbit that puts us directly in line with Minmus. I mean, technically, we should, in theory, possibly have enough Delta V to do that, but let's not push our luck on this one. We will get ourselves out of here. Add a maneuver node there to bring this over to here, and then ignore that and ignore that. Actually, what we should do before doing anything is come over here, add maneuver, and pull this down to here. Add a maneuver here to bring us back up to here. And that puts us on a better trajectory. Then we'll add a maneuver node, not there, here, to bring us in line with perfect-ish orbit. There we go. We now have 3 burns to do. Yeah, I might have to switch to the electric engine soon, but I'm going to try to do this with the last 1955 meters per second of Delta V. So we're 2 hours away from, 2.5 hours away from our burn. So we're going to go ahead and warp to there. We have all sorts of lines going all over the place here. That is how crazy out of pocket the Moon's orbit is. Because that did some weird things to our orbital lines. However, we are in a good place to be able to get out of the Moon's orbit and into Kerbal orbit. We're 25 seconds out. Yeah, you're talking about the rockets that may or may not have rapidly landed. I should probably switch over to my maneuver node. Now we're past our burn time, so we're going to go ahead and quickly burn. That's close enough for that one. Okay, we'll switch over to this one. And of course, before we go any further, we should hit that button. We should get ourselves a good old-fashioned screenshot of that. Yep. Go there. Pay no attention to the mods that I'm using. Unless you're in Discord. You can join Discord and we can talk about all the mods that I'm running. What mods do what, where, when, and how, and all sorts of things. We're going to go ahead and burn the 2 hours and 16 minutes to our maneuver. We have exactly 1 minute of Delta V left. Where is... Oh, we have a lunar eclipse right here. Right over there with Kerbal. So the sun is in direct line with the Mun, which is in direct line with Kerbal. So we are looking at a lunar eclipse. Or a solar eclipse. Lunar eclipse. No, solar eclipse. I am very tired right now. I can't think straight. Tell me in the comments, which one is it? Alright, so we are 15 seconds away from our burn. We are in the best position possible for this. I really hope everything is exactly where it needs to be for this. And burn. And slow down. Close enough. We're going to get rid of that. Go over to the next burn. And just double check to make sure, yes, we are exactly where we need to be. Perfect. Alright. So now we are 4 hours, 24 minutes away from that burn, so we're going to go ahead and fast forward to there. We are spinning all over the place. And there we are. Now there's Kerbal, there's the Mun. There's the Mun's Mun. Or Moon. The Mun Jr. And 44 seconds for burn. I'm going to go ahead and speed that up just a little bit so we can get there a little quicker. It's only a 1 second burn, so I should probably slow down right about now and go ahead and burn. And slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. That was the wrong button to push. However, we are pretty much there. I mean, we're a little higher than I would like to be. But that is okay. So now, I would like to see if we can add a maneuver here And then fling ourselves the wrong direction. Go ahead and put ourselves there. I mean, we can definitely work with that, sort of. I wonder what this would do. That's too far. There we go. That's the right direction. So we're going to bring our periapsis way down. Whoops, too far. That's about as close as we can get. 2.5 million meters away. We're going to warp over to our maneuver node real quick. And almost 4 hours. So we're just going to burn right over to there. There goes the Mun Jr. flying across there. Somehow we're over here. I guess, I mean, we're definitely still around the area of the Mun. It's really not taking a whole lot of Delta V to burn out of orbit. And it seems to be working pretty well, so I'm going to go ahead and time warp. I'm not going to time warp too much. And then I'm going to cap out my burn and then immediately bring it down and see what happens. There we go. Perfect. We have reached escape, and in theory, we should be in orbit around Kerbal. So we're going to go ahead and speed up time, because that will take a while to do. The Mun Jr. almost grabbed us on the way by, it looked like. Getting close, and we have escaped. There it is. We are in Kerbal orbit. I'm going to go ahead and slow down time before I get myself in trouble here. I'm going to spin around retrograde because that works now. And I'm going to go back to the map screen and look at where my periapsis is, because that's a thing I should do. We're going to go ahead and burn that down a little bit closer down into a better orbital pattern. And that should be good right there. All right. Yeah, it's always required to go the complete opposite direction you want. That is absolutely, for sure, true. Mun Jr. does not want me to leave. That seems to be the case. That definitely seems to be the case. Yeah, Jebediah has not messed everything up yet. Now, there is still time. That is a very bright sun. There is still time for him to make plenty of mistakes, especially as I come down to the periapsis, add a maneuver, and go into circularization. Go ahead and do that. Bring that around. And while that's coming around, I am going to go ahead and warp through time and, pun fully intended, space as well. I am bending the fabric of space to warp through time. We're spinning around wildly. Now I'm kind of curious because we really haven't used any monopropellant. Oh, that's why. Local control. We don't have any control of our vessel. This is entirely SAS controlled. That is very interesting. That is very good to know. Reality warping God powers. Well, it's reality warping. video game powers. Alright, we are 25 seconds away from our burn time, and it is a 24-second burn. So I will go ahead and wait until we hit that. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and burn. 20 seconds of burn to do this. And as always, I am going to aim for an ocean touchdown. Just because it's a little bit softer than the land. The land tends to be warped around, and I am way past my burn time. How bad did I just do on that? My periapsis doesn't seem to be too terribly bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. In fact, I do believe if I do it correctly right here, switch over to retrograde. And I bet you I can bring this periapsis down quite far without getting myself in too much trouble. I'm going to bring it down to just about 100,000-ish. We're going to add a maneuver node and circularize there. And that should give me enough wiggle room to be able to do my water landing without having to have too much speed. So we're going to burn over there, we're going to switch over to there, we're going to go over to this screen here. We're flying by quickly. And now it's dark. Who turned off the sun? Jump over to here. And look at that sun, nice and bright. And time warp just a little bit more on this one, because that's kind of a long time to wait. I can understand 15 seconds. I cannot understand over an entire minute of just waiting for something to happen. And we're going to burn now, and then we're going to pay close attention to this one. There we go. Periapsis is at 83,817 meters, which is perfect for what I want to try to do. And it looks like we actually circularized exactly over the Kerbal Space Center. So I wonder if I can get myself to touch down right in the water next to it. Yeah, the Kerbal's turned off the sun, alright. I still blame Jebediah. Jebediah did it. We're gonna unset target, so that's not glowing. And then we're gonna warp over to the apoapsis. And we're gonna switch over to retrograde. We have exactly 7 seconds of liquid fuel left. That is not a whole lot, but I think we can do this entire thing with just the liquid fuel. Alright, so I think I am in a good position to start this burn. And we are out of liquid fuel. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to switch on this. Toggle mode. Because I forgot to do that before we launched. There we go. Now we're safe. We're going to bring in the solar panels. There we go. Now we're aerodynamic in space. Yeah, I have the electric engines. I was hoping I could do this entire thing without using them. I mean, technically I still could, but I don't want a chance burning up on re-entry. So we are going to use the electric engines because I definitely try to think ahead sometimes. We are technically over the ocean here. However, I kind of want to be on over the ocean there, so I want to... I don't want to warp there. I want to add a maneuver node here, just so I can see where it is. I'm gonna have my nice little countdown here. And then I can start my retrograde burn to drop straight down. Yeah, I don't want him, you know, going missing again, for sure. We are 1 minute out. It's hard to see that, but we are 1 minute out from being over the water and being able to justify turning on the electric engines and slowing down. We are at 95,000 meters. Some nice cloud formations down there. Yeah, he's definitely happy to be back. I mean, that was a long mission. We're talking almost 3 days to do that mission. Hold on, wait a second, let me switch. I mean, it's not a long time, but it's a while. And those clouds are really cool. I really like them a lot. It is definitely worth the use of resources in order to have them. You know, I'm willing to bet that it definitely has an account for crashes that I have, but I mean, I'll accept the game crashing every now and then for having really good volumetric clouds. That's for sure. All right, we are over the water now. I can get rid of that maneuver node there, and I can start this burn. We're gonna slow way down, and I forgot to turn that off. So what we're gonna do is go down here. We're going to turn off gimbal on all three as we plummet to Kerbin. Go ahead and turn that back on. Burn off all of that speed that I can. That way, when we enter the atmosphere, we are not burning up. Okay, I burned off too much speed. That's okay. That is okay. And I'm kind of curious as to if I can save this entire thing. So I want to move this to here. I'm going to add another one for that one. I know we're constantly rearranging the stages, but I mean, we're going to make it work. However that may be. All right, we are at 52,000 meters, 51. I'm going to let this hit about 1,200 meters a second descent. I don't think it's actually going to hit that, but we're going to let it keep going up for a while. Yeah, I can EVA and use Jebediah's parachute. I don't foresee having to do that. This is pretty straightforward. There again, the Kraken is everywhere. I'm gonna burn off more of that speed. We're gonna keep this pointing retrograde so that way it always adjusts so I can stay going the right direction, which is down currently. We're gonna bring that up so that slows down a little bit quicker now. And I'm kind of curious. We're at 25,000 meters. At about 20,000 meters, I'm going to launch the first set of parachutes. So we're at 21. There's a 20. I'm going to launch the first set of parachutes. And I think those just broke away. I feel like they broke. No, they didn't break away. They're still good. But I don't see them anywhere. I don't think they've actually deployed. Yeah, there they go. There it is. I'm going to adjust the attitude to there. Every time you hear the word Kraken, you imagine organ music. Yeah, yeah, because that's how he summons the Kraken. We will not name the movie or the association for the sake of things. However, we are going a little too quickly down, and I gotta speed up just a little bit. And bring that speed way down. And then, I believe we are in a good place to do that. So there are both sets of parachutes. Now, I do have the ability to stage out the rest of this rocket and only have the landing pod. And I'm going back up because I forgot that my engines were still on. Let's fix that real quick before we have other things happen. There we go. We're at about 5,000 meters. And slowing down. One set has opened all of the way. We are at 32 meters a second, 31, 30. Bouncing out around 30 meters per second, which is actually pretty good. I bet you if these open up here, which probably won't happen to about 1,000 feet, or 1,000 meters rather, we are going to be able to save this entire rocket. However, when it does hit the water, I think it's going to tip over. So you know what? We don't need that. And that's just going to plop into the water and sink down to the bottom and somehow explode. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, at least I remembered the fact that tall things tend to tip over in water. Yeah, so we're coming down at 11 meters a second. We're at 2,600 meters. So we're doing okay. Just a reminder to hit that like and subscribe. It's free to do, and it helps me out. And don't forget to share this with everyone that that you possibly can. Because the more people watch the lives, the more people watch my videos, and the more people subscribe, the better off the algorithm's going to be with its whole, you got to get everyone to do all of the things in order to be worth sharing with other people. I'm not entirely sure how that system really justifies it, but the more you guys share it, the more you guys like it, subscribe, the more the algorithm tends to push it. Same thing with the comments during lives. The more you guys are commenting, the more YouTube tends to push it to other people that have not seen my channel before. So I definitely appreciate all of you that have been talking and hanging out, for sure. You know, you guys are why I do this. And we are at about 1,800 meters so far. We are coming down a little bit faster than I would like, so we're going to go ahead and speed up the time just a little bit, just to see what happens with those upper parachutes. I hope they open properly. So we're at 1,200 meters, 1,100, 1,000, and those chutes have opened up. We are now coming down at 3.2 meters per second, so we are definitely going to speed up time a little bit more than I feel comfortable doing, just because we can. We're at 700 meters, 600. We're going to speed up again, and we just did all of the bad things. Well, there's that. I'm sure Jebediah is going to be fine. Eventually. Yeah, we'll do that. There we go. All right. So, I mean, technically it was successful. I just kind of pushed my luck a little bit more than I probably should. It is definitely a bug, and it has a lot to do with the modding, for sure. However, this rocket has worked, so we are going to give it a name. What did we decide the name was going to be? Was it, I don't remember. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a second to let me know what that name was, because I cannot remember for the life of me. I think it was, you think we should name it Kraken Attacker? I think that's a good one. I think we'll go with that. Wow, I went blank on that one. Alright, so there's our Kraken attack. We're going to go ahead and save that. That way we have it, because this definitely does work. I just need to stop trying to speed things up. Alright, so it's going to be a little bit shorter today. I think we're at just about 2 hours, roughly, give or take. I can't really tell from here. I'm not looking at that screen. A little bit shorter than the last one, a little shorter than usual. However, I am definitely definitely tired, so we're gonna call it right there. That being said, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and join me on Discord. I know some of you don't have Discord yet. Go ahead and get it. It's free to get, and I will see you on the next one.